Good morning, good evening, bonjour, bonsoir à tous, and welcome to this week's edition of Wada Forum. Bienvenue à cette édition du Forum du Wada. We're really excited to have you all with us today. Exciting things to discuss. So let's skip ahead to our agenda. The agenda today, we're going to, of course, focus on some general updates from our community. And then the exciting part is our governance corner and constitutional corner, where we get to talk about the new draft constitution that has come out. I know all the hard work that we've been doing over the weeks, the months previous, with different workshops and preparing for all of you to travel, is finally starting to become a reality. Then just another thing to mention, a reminder that sort of this space has been geared really towards supporting the delegates as they prepare for Argentina. We've shifted that focus just for this critical time towards the end of the year. And then we will be having a break for the holidays in December. So just be on the lookout for that. Next, we have some different resources. So the knowledge base resources. If anything here you want to dive into a bit more, we're not giving you enough information, you want to find more for yourself, feel free to browse these links at your leisure. And now let's get started with our mission statement. Okay, who's with us here today? Let's see, who wants to read the English? Do I have volunteers? Our statement of purpose? Richmond, are you with us? Can you talk?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, I'm calling on you.
Sure.
Will you read our statement of purpose, please?
Okay. So, our statement of purpose, our mission, to alleviate underrepresented groups through the application of technology and invest in a more equitable future. Thank you.
Thank you, Richmond. Alors, en français, notre déclaration de but, notre mission, promouvoir les groupes sous-représentés grâce à l'application de la technologie et investir dans un avenir plus équitable. All right, just a nice reminder of why we're all here. Thanks for reading that with me. So next, we'll go into some kind of recap of the previous meeting. So Edoufoy, are you here? I'll pass the mic to you.
Hello, everyone. Please, am I being heard? I think the internet in the office. Okay.
Hearing you
Great.
well.
So just a few things that we spoke about last week on the call. So last week for Wada DREP update, we had Nana Safo update us on how the DREP is going. He said that their preparations are underway to accommodate additional members who are interested in joining the DREP team. Our delegation had increased from 228,000 ADA to 239.9, about 239.9 ADA, which is a significant progress. So we have about 12 delegators in the Wada DREP pool as at last week. So he encouraged the entire committee to delegate the Wada DREP pool. For the delegates workshop in Kenya, so last week we had a debrief from the delegates workshops in Kenya. We had Madam Ifia from Ghana provide a high-level debrief, takeaway from the in-person delegates workshop. She said that participants voted on the amendments of the constitution, and majority of the attendees supported passing the constitution with 28 votes in favor and about 8 against. So those who voted against were asked to submit their reasons for further consideration. There were other delegates on the call last week who also shared their experiences and expressed their feelings about the entire process. So for Africa representation at the Constitutional Workshop, last week we had members present some ideas for Africa's unified representation at the Constitutional Convention. He highlighted the need for regional representation to address specific local issues effectively. After the call, there was also a breakout session, mainly for foreign speakers to state more in depth this that. So that's basically some highlights of our meeting. Megan,
Okay. Thank you, Adufwa. It was exciting times last week. I think we're starting to really come together as a community of delegates who will all be traveling soon to join together. So exciting. So just this slide, we always like to give some kind of general updates on different things, either from Catalyst, SNet, or Intersect. So a couple of things to highlight this week. You all know voting is coming up for Fund 13. So anyone who put in a proposal, just be aware of some different opportunities to socialize your proposals. The Catalyst group is putting together a pitch fest, which is going to take place over X or Twitter. For that, you need to submit 2-minute videos through a form that they shared. And they will be airing over Twitter sort of over the first week of December. So I encourage people to do that. There's, of course, the Catalyst Africa Town Hall Idea Fest, which is happening tomorrow. So I encourage you to participate, even if you're not presenting, just to come and watch, see what other people are up to. That's always a good one. And then we also wanted to give everyone a spot to just share their proposals, their links for us as a WADA community to kind of have some visibility over what each other are working on. So we encourage each of the hubs to share, your top proposal that you want WADA to socialize. And you can post that in the chat right now, or you can send it to us over email. But please follow up. Your point of contact for that, I think, will be Sam. Is that correct? So Samuel, you could put your email in the chat of where they can send that, or please just post it here in the meeting chat would also be great. And then Samuel, what am I missing? What else do we need to tell them about Catalyst?
Hello, Megan. Hi, everyone. I don't know. Do you share information on the voting, which is coming up on the 28th?
I left that one for you.
Oh, okay. So what is happening is that I think yesterday voting, or is it today? Moderation for the proposal reviews where it's over now. So we are waiting for the 28th where voting actually starts. So be getting ready, review the proposals, and see where your votes will go in terms of that. A little to the hub Fund 13 proposal links. Usually funding, fund out. WADA creates a link tree for our hubs and proposals that they have put through so that we can publicize it or push it around for the benefit of voting. So this is why we are asking our hub leads or any of members in the community who have put in proposals to share them with us. And then we will see how we can help in terms of promoting or publicizing it for votes. As a matter of fact, if you put more than one proposal in, we are kindly asking you to send just one that you really want us to push around. So, for instance, if you put about 3 or 4 proposals, just send us one that you really want us to be pushed around, and we'll kindly do that. Thank you, Megan.
All right. Yeah, thanks, Samuel. Appreciate that. So any questions on any of sort of the Catalyst stuff, feel free to post in the chat throughout the call. But now we'll move on to talk about SingularityNet. So I announced that there was a hackathon going on. I believe that is still ongoing. So maybe we'll have something to talk about next week in terms of the outcomes of that. Just curious, did anyone here register for the SNet hackathon? Not sure if anyone did, but yeah, I think that's an exciting opportunity. Always exciting when there's hackathons. The next thing we wanted to update on is Intersect, and I know we have a lot more to talk about with Intersect, but many of you know that we had a contract with kind of WADA Intersect hubs. So just to report that that has officially come to a close for the first iteration, we got a contract to set up hubs. That has now been completed in the various regions. And, we're very proud that we were able to sort of deliver a lot more than was expected. So the original contract was essentially just for Ghana, and WADA was able to sort of strategize and to make that work for working through the different subregions more than just doing one in West Africa. So I'm very happy about that. And thanks to all of the hubs and our community members for the support and, of course, just availability in, this great community being able to make things like that happen. So I just wanted to kind of highlight that. Next slide. All right. And now I want to pass the mic over to Nana Safu to talk about WADA's DREP. Welcome, Nana Safu.
Thanks, Megan. It's always a pleasure to be here to share updates about the WADA DREP with the community. And as usual, I take the chance to walk you through what voting power looks like, as and when the epoch boundary comes to a close. So last week, we did notice that we had grown in terms of voting power. So we had about, last week we had about 238K voting power. I am glad to, announce that this week we have, over the past few epoch boundaries, we have been able to accumulate up to a total of about 313.97K voting power. And there are still some delegations that are yet to be, captured as part of the total voting power that we are going to have. And as we speak now, we have about 3 new delegations that are yet to be captured as part of the previous or the current voting power, which is at 313K. So what it means is that perhaps in our next meeting, I will be announcing that we will be having around 340K delegation or voting power. So that is it. And I'm also happy to announce that as it stands now, we have about 17 different delegators delegating to the WADA pool, which is really awesome. We appreciate, all those who are, pledging their stake to us. And we are very much glad to, receive their voting power and then use it to make decisions on their behalf. And so that is pretty much it. Thanks, Megan.
No, thanks to you, Nana Safu. It's great to see these updates and exciting to see the progress, right, of of how things are advancing. The DREP in general is a good thing to have launched, and the fact that we have a growing WADA delegation is very good to see. So next on the agenda, I think we have the much anticipated Cardano Constitution draft was released yesterday afternoon, or depending where you are in the world. So just wanted to remind all the delegates here that it is part of, what they're hoping for is that the delegates are supporting in socializing and this draft constitution, making sure that people have seen it, people know about it, etc. Because this is a draft, right? And you'll all be meeting together in different parts of the world to actually pass this as the first official constitution. So for now, it's a draft, but it's important that it gets read and analyzed, and that we're all okay with this being what happens, on chain. So I think we have some very knowledgeable delegates here. And I wanted to give someone else a chance to talk about the Constitution. So I believe we have, let's see, I thought I saw Seydu here. Seydu and is Mustafa. So I wanted to invite both of you up to give us some highlights, some overview of your thoughts on the Constitution. Who wants to go first? Okay, I say Mohammed. Mustafa, go ahead.
Hello,
Welcome.
can you hear me? Thank you. Good evening. Yeah, from where I'm sitting, it's good evening here. Can you hear me, please? I just want to confirm whether my mic works or not.
Yep, I'm hearing you well. Welcome.
Thank you. Yeah. So, as you rightly put it, the draft or the final draft has been published ahead of the convention in 2 weeks' time. And so, if you check the chat, I just posted that for those of us who've not had time to really, look into it, we encourage you to download it. I think there's the PDF version of that. You can just go through some of the updated versions or updated text to the various articles and sections of the draft constitution. But one interesting thing is that, as you may know, the delegates are going to still do a lot of voting at the convention on some other sections of the constitution, and then finally, hopefully, it will be signed or ratified at the convention. But one interesting thing coming up is that it looks like, even though we are all excited, delegates are excited towards this, but there's still a lot of ideas that are coming from some other sections or segments of the Cardano community, and community members, builders, and even some of the major arms of the Cardano ecosystem really wants the constitution to address quite some interesting aspects. And if you have come across it, Cardano Foundation just this afternoon released its proposal towards how the constitution can better be well drafted to cover a lot of things that will favor the entire Cardano community. And so the foundation actually, as one of the major arms of founding members of the Cardano community, has put together several suggestions or proposal, and that will help us as delegates and alternates that we're convening at the convention to really delve much into it and so that we'll be able to address some of these concerns. And so, yes, we want the constitution to be out, but as I mentioned, we don't just want to rush it and have it finalized. It's still going to be a working document, and of course, even if the foundation's demands or desires are not addressed before it's been ratified, there could still be something like a workable document, more like something that's going to be on GitHub, where delegates and some other relevant stakeholders of the constitution will still bring in together their ideas, and then we can have that finalized. And so basically that's what is happening currently. And just to add up, we are no longer convening totally at Argentina. It's now going to be a two-way event, one in Nairobi and the other in Argentina, because of visa. Intersect announced that recently too, because a lot of us were not able to fast track the visa appointments and visa procurement because of some bureaucracies that characterize the Argentinian government. And so we just have to have that satellite event in East Africa. And I think that it's still an opportunity for us as Africans to better socialize and of course meet the other delegates and alternates that will join us at the Kenya event. And so yeah, that's that for now from my end. And maybe if someone wants to add something or have some concern, the person can also put it up regarding the constitution. Yeah. Thank you, Mega.
So Mustafa, I have a question. So this is just news to me that a satellite event is being held in Nairobi. Is that right? Is that what you said?
Yes, please. So yeah, it's not going to be two locations. Yeah.
So yourself, are you? Where are you attending? Is it Argentina or Nairobi?
Yes, Kenya. So most of us, the Ghanaians, will be at the Kenya event, Nairobi. Yeah. and some
But
other.
are
I
there,
think about 30 of us, 30 to 40 of us will convene, and then possibly more, because those that initially planned to go to Argentina are also looking for ways to also make it to Nairobi, because although yes, the news came as very shocking, as most of us were still, you know, excited to get our visas. Even as I speak today, we had emails from the embassy, inviting us to interviews on Monday. But the traveling experts and even Intersect advised that they cannot give us that assurance to get the visas, because even if we attend the interviews on Monday 25th in Abuja, it may still take the embassy a lot of time, like 10 to 15 days, 20 days, or even 30 days before they make a decision to either approve or decline the visa application. So the advice every we just have to adapt these changes so that we have a very peaceful, because there has this the intersect team. I acknowledge that a lot already has gone into it, bookings and some other plans. So we can't say we are canceling Argentina and bringing everyone to Kenya, as some people suggested, because venues have been booked, hotels and all that have also been arranged over there in Argentina. And so discussions are far advanced in terms of just having these two locations, so that we'll just manage it that way, because of the bureaucracies. You and I knows what sometimes there are the rules
yeah,
that, yeah, bureaucratic bottlenecks we have to break in order to fast track decisions,
yeah.
but sometimes it's quite slow. So
But do
yeah,
you
so
think,
that's it.
it's surprising to me as well, but do you think that has any effect or any implications on the full participation or representation of our part of the world?
Yeah, possibly, but there's been a lot of persuasive discussions with delegates on other things, especially those that were not pleased with the outcome, with the news of having the Canary session. But understandably, a lot of them are still trying, although working with. There's a travel specialist that we are working with, and she's doing an amazing job in terms of explaining to us all that it entails in terms of the different culture or policies of the Argentinian government. And so we are getting a piece now with some of the updates that the Intersect team is giving, and we appreciate that. In fact, there's a community. Mauro, as a community member, has been he's based in Buenos Aires, and he's really done a lot. He joined the call and gave a lot of updates regarding how he's also invested so much time day and night just to make sure that we delegates are able to get their visas on time. But you know the main major cause was that the previous there was this minister for foreign affairs that IOG or Intersect had done a lot of discussions and planning with, but unfortunately the minister was being fired by the president, and so there was a new foreign minister appointed, and the discussions had to be restarted.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and that slowed all
And
these
that's
things.
quite unfortunate.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you, Mustafa. That's quite comprehensive. Megan, take over. Maybe Seydou also want to come in and share some perspectives.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, this part, we had an introduction, so everyone is welcome to kind of bring up anything that they want to talk about with this. If it's about, any of the wording in the Constitution itself, or if it's more related to, what was happening yesterday with the satellite event being announced. This is really whatever you all want to talk about. So, anyone feel free to raise your hand or. Yeah, Seydou. Thank you. Yep, you have the floor.
Thank you. I don't know what I'm loud and clear.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. So just a quick one or to add to what my main delegate Mustafa has just said with regards to the rich schedule of the satellite event. It's just unfortunate. And then with regards to a lot of the delegates here, one thing I've been raising since the announcement yesterday at 1 p.m. UTC was that Intersect has to take it upon themselves to make a bold solution or bold decision that all those who are looking for visas and they are still not getting it, or it is not going to be possible for them, should try their possible and accept the Nairobi, where we can have a lot of people coming together to also discuss the
the convention and ratify the constitution. Very important because they have made it open for us as delegates to try on our own that if you can still attend the consular interview and then possibly get your visa, they will still sponsor you to come to Argentina. But I and then one or two people were still asking them that they should try their possible best and then let's make it more diverse so that none of us will be able to do that. Because today when we received the emails to come to the interview on Monday, we said, no, we have to go to Nairobi. It's important for us to go there since the time and then other things from us. So we talked to the travel expert to just ensure that we have a lot of people in the Nairobi event as well. Very important. So with regards to the constitution draft constitution, we are still reading it, and then all the inputs that we have made is also reflecting on the constitution. It's a live document. It's a living document. So those members are among us who are still having issues with regards to the constitution. We just want to plead with them that there's a room for amendment. After ratification, we can still come on board and submit a government action so that we can still amend it to fit the community need. We will keep on improvising or refining it to fit the community as we move on. So this is just my comments on that for now. Thank you.
Thanks, Seydou. Appreciate your insight. Mercy, I see your hand is up. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks so much for that feedback, Mustafa and Seydou. Yeah, so just to add a little bit more context to, I think right now the sentiment is more the fact that some of the delegates, or maybe about 40 or so, with staff from Intersect, like Jack, looks like he might be in Kenya. Michael might be in Kenya. Myself, actually, I have redirected my plans to Kenya. And, as, was mentioned, some appointments are coming through. I mean, at this point, I'm going to sort of, so this is not an official position. This is a personal position. So, I have quite a bit of experience when it comes to trying to get a visa to various countries. And what I would say, in fact, this morning, apparently some people had applied, they put in the application and they were rejected. What I would strongly advise is that it is better not to apply than to apply and be rejected, because when that shows in your passport, it's sort of, it's a signal to other countries or even the same country like Argentina if you want to go back, because then they scrutinize your application even more. Because they want to know why you were rejected, right? They don't know that, maybe it was time or maybe it was documents and so on and so forth. So definitely I agree with Seydou and Mustafa in terms of let us just decide that it's Kenya. As I said, I'm going to be there as well. I've been part of some of the meetings. As Mustafa said, Amaro has just been amazing. Every day he was dropping into calls, working outside of hours, trying to do the best that he can. Unfortunately, it is what it is right now. Like having said that, traditionally, and I think Ifya even mentioned it a little while back, that Argentina in particular, their visa, getting a visa can be quite tough. So it's not like we didn't know. The only thing is that, as has been mentioned, there was a connection who had assured that it wouldn't be a problem. And unfortunately, that connection was lost. So what we have to do, I put it in the group, the WhatsApp group, that please reach out to me on DM how we can make the Kenya event as fantastic as possible, as wow as possible. If you have any suggestions, I can bring this up due to being on the service committee, and also I'm trying to get on some kind of events committee. So yeah, that is all that I'll say. I think that right now, if I have to go back to the Constitution, and I'm speaking from a civics point of view, I myself, I feel very, very happy that the draft Constitution has finally been able to be released to the community. There were very strong sentiments actually on both sides in the civics committee in terms of whether it should be released at this point, since at the end of the day, it's really, the process has been the delegates and the alternates. They have the main say. And they had the freedom to discuss the Constitution with their own community. So those that attended their workshops and so on and so forth. However, the way that things were going, and also because quite a significant portion of the Cardano community were not able to make it to a workshop, it came about that it would be a good idea to at least poll the delegates and the alternates as to whether the draft it was either to be released yesterday when it was released, or the 25th, I believe is Monday, or during the convention, I think the first week of December, or even after. It looks like a majority wanted it to be released as soon as possible, so that was done. And I think that even when you look at, especially the preamble, it has really received a very good reception. It's very aspirational. The language is very inspiring. So yeah, I think that right now releasing it looks like was the best idea, or the best course of action. So we'll see. But right now, I think that the main issue is the fact that there will be two communities as far as the live convention goes. And as I said, I myself, I'm doing the best that I can to make sure that, working with IO and Oral Intersect and so on and so forth, to make sure that we have a good event in Kenya. Samuel, you have a question?
Yes, I want us to go into something that is very important for me. I attended most of the constitutional workshops, and the rewards for DREP was one of the critical stuff that we had to, digress around. You guys, I referred you delegates going for this. I don't know if you have read a portion of that, and what does it say?
I think I'm going to throw that back to the delegates and alternate. Thanks. So I don't know if Mustafa or Seidu or even Memos is here. If there are any other delegates or alternates that want to chime in, that would be, Boaz is also here as well. If anyone wants to chime in, that would be a great idea. Having said that, high level, that was a very, very interesting topic. The wording of that was amended. It was one of the ones that were amended quite significantly based on feedback from community. So I think I'll rest here and let's hear what the delegates have to say, or the alternates. Thanks.
Yeah, I saw Mermos's hand is raised. Mermos, I invite you to the mic.
Hey, thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. That was a very heated topic. And at the end of the day, what was decided is that since there's still a lot of work to do to have a final decision on that particular topic, it was best for the Constitution to leave an open room for any kind of direction possible in how this is going to be dealt with in the future. So the wording was the DREP can be rewarded, and since we don't know which kind of formula it's going to take, or even if it's going to be possible and how it's going to be possible, because there were still a lot of issues as someone can decide to have, if someone has a big wallet, the person can split his wallet in many wallets and represent himself as a delegate, and then delegate all the funds that he had, split it into small wallets to his one wallet and become a DREP, and then be rewarded for not doing essentially anything. So there were still a lot of issues that were there. So at the end of the day, what was decided was just to can be rewarded, and then maybe let the different communities, if in a particular DREP, people want to the community that the people that delegated their either so that their voting power to that DREP want to reward the DREP, they can still do it. They have, the constitution doesn't prohibit it. Leave that open window for kind of to adapt and see how the response from the community and how the different scenarios will play out before something definitive can be maybe drawn in the next iterations of the constitution.
I think that's a really good point you bring up in terms of, which battles do we want to fight right now? Like, I think it would be good for us to focus, in the next weeks about, what is written in here. Is this things that we want to be part of kind of the fundamental constitution of, what, can change, of course, with amendments and things like that, but what's kind of the basis for everything. Seydou?
Yes, thanks. So a quick one on the regards to the rewards of DREPs is that I think currently it can be found at section 5 of article 4, which is saying that it's still open as stated. So DREP acting on behalf of other holders may be compensated for their efforts. So it is still not definite or conclusive that they will be rewarded. And then there are a lot of the reward scheme when it comes to the reward of DREPs. So I think DREPs themselves will be lower down their expectation, and then as well as their delegators. But we all think that they should be rewarded. So let's see how it comes out when we ratify the constitution.
Sure, Seydou. Thanks. And thanks, members.
I was going to talk about what Megan said, but very quickly, just to add to what Seydou just said. Yeah. So when it comes to the rewards for the DREPs, and in fact, there were two of them, the DREPs and the Constitutional Committee. As Seydou has rightly said, the majority sentiment was that DREPs, of course, there were still some dissenters that didn't want DREP compensation to be on, they didn't want it to happen. But the majority sentiment, as Seydou said, is that DREPs needs to be compensated because it's going to be a lot of work. The flip side of that is the Constitutional Committee, and that was very loose language in terms of compensation, right? Because for instance, currently the Constitutional Committee have IOG, CF, Imergo, and even, Intersect Council, right? So these are entities, especially the first three, IO, CF, and Imergo, they're already, how do I say, they're already funded, I'm putting that in quotes. So it's not the same situation, sort of to compensate them, if you all get what I mean. So that was something that was very loose. So that was strictly May sort of thing. But anyway, just to get back to what Megan was saying, I just want all of us to be on the lookout, because there were, we need to get this, this constitution ratified. And, I'm going to say something, it's a bit, maybe I'll be a bit long, but I think that is important. It's been 2 years, right, since we started this, the SIP 1694. There's been a lot of traveling, a lot of meetings, a lot of consultations, and we still have pushback, even in terms of should we even be having the constitution this December? In fact, I was one person when the visa was becoming very messy. I was really pushing for maybe even a January. Today, I was sort of talking to somebody, and they are even thinking of sort of mid of next year. What that implies is that nothing is getting funded right now. As some of you know, it is actually Charles's personal finances that is actually funding even the constitutional workshop right now. Constitutional convention right now. So there's a lot that is coming out of pocket from Charles, from IOG, from Imergo, and so on and so forth. What and I'm glad that a lot of us, the African community, we are very pragmatic when it comes to this. That let us start something, like let us see what we can get with this first ratification, right? Just so that governance actions, Chang plus 2, the treasury and so on can be released. And then Cardano, when it comes to infrastructure build, it can be done. When it comes to our global intersect hubs, they can be done. Like things can move forward, right? Saying that, like we have to make sure that everything is perfect before we ratify this, but that could be a good idea. But what we must be mindful right now is which is the lesser of two evils, right? Do we want to get something and work from there? Or do we want to, make sure that everything is perfect before we move forward? So anyway, that was just what I wanted to say. But in terms of future, what we should all be looking out for, back to what Megan was saying, is future work stream, right? So there are a lot of stuff. I think it was Mustafa that said it. That is going to go into, like we will do. We will do it after the ratification. So please let's put our ears on the ground. I'll do the best that I can to bring information in terms of how these future work streams can be, because they will be like working groups, committees, and it will be good for us to get involved. As usual, I've taken too much time, so I will stop here. Thank you, everyone, for your patience.
Mercy, you didn't take too much time at all. I think your message was very important and relevant, so I appreciate you speaking up. Is there anything anyone else would like to weigh in here?
No, so for me, I just want to, appreciate Madame Mercy's, contribution and how she's actually represented us very well in terms of the top level. And that's something that I always advocate for. So hopefully going forward, when we get more of her, participation in the civics, the top level, because it's always good to have someone over there than to, just communicate communicate in abstract, but physically, if you have someone that can take information from to you, it's quite better. And so thank you very much, Madam. We really appreciate your efforts, and we hope that, your role is maintained, and possibly we get more reps from the African region to join you.
Absolutely. And that's always something that we have said here. When it comes to the April 2025 committee election, please let's all get together, strategize, and get as many people from our communities onto committees, right? Sometimes I feel very, very overwhelmed, to tell you the truth, because there's so much I know is going on in the ecosystem, right? And it just tends to be me, right? So I try to just, let me try to be everywhere, and it can be quite overwhelming. So yeah, I think that as soon as possible, I think we said that in January, we will really strategize how to get more people voted into committees come April 2025. So yeah, thanks for that, Mustafa. I enjoyed doing this, but I think that we should have many more people from our community joining. Thank you.
And my boss, I think you are doing well. We pray for you. More power to your elbows. And we trust that you can always represent the interest and the views of us in this part of the world. Thanks.
Thank you.
Amazing. Yeah, so much appreciation for all that you do. So, we kind of joined all of the Constitutional Corner together today. We often split it into kind of the more technical and then into more travel prep and etc. But we kind of covered both of them. Are there any outstanding travel related questions that anyone has?
Yes, Megan, I want to ask Memos. We have been on this call, week in, week out, trying to talk about how Africa can be fully represented in Argentina and all the presentations that came through. Memos, if you can hear me first, are you going to Argentina or Nairobi, and how does that, affect the plans that we have made over the past few weeks?
I'm going to Nairobi, obviously, and
Oh my God.
and
Okay.
it's not affecting anything. If anything, I think it plays in it kind of plays strategically on the long run in our favor. The split of this event, at least that's from where I stand, I see it very clearly. The reason being that we are pushing for a certain level of decentralization. This is already happening on the matter of the constitution. So it's not even that we wanted to, but it happened naturally. We find ourselves having to deal with the same things, but we are doing it in Kenya, and no one is going to die from doing it. So it's just going to be a very natural process. We do what we have to do there, and we move on. So it sets a good precedent, saying that we don't have to centralize everything in the sense that some things can be done locally without any harm being done to the community.
Yeah.
People can adhere to one thing or to another, to one group, depending on where they stand or where they are around the world. Because trying to push everybody into Argentina, let's take that as an example, for instance, doesn't really work in the sense that some people go there visa free and with no havoc, and some people have to move heaven and earth and actually get their life kind of scrambled just for that. So in the sense of even a community, how fair is it for people to be? It's what it is at the end of the day. So for us, at least for certain ideas that we have in terms of representation and organization of local groups, it plays right to our favor, actually, even in the kind of speech that we can give to talk about it. One other point is organization. If everything is centralized and then there are few people working on it and have to accommodate everybody, it gets very difficult. But if we have to deal with our own embassies here, we kind of know them already. We deal with them very fast. We do what we have to do on the local level and we make it happen quite fast.
Sure.
But when it's centralized like that, it creates more friction and more everything. Another point that I was also thinking about is for this same, also playing in the same favor, is that Cardano had to go through the University of Buenos Aires just to get invitation letters. If Cardano had a strong institution already based in LATAM, it would have been that invitation would have been coming from inside Cardano, the Cardano ecosystem, and all this process would have been way faster than what it was.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So that is more reason to actually go to actually push those ideas. So that's how I see it, at least.
Yeah, and these are very key points that you make there. So if I understand, it looks like for Nairobi, delegate from Africa, I don't have any visa issues. Looks like it's visa free for everybody, right?
No, it is not.
No, it's not.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead, Mercy.
All right. No, I'll just quickly say that it is not. The only thing is that a visa to Kenya takes only 3 days worldwide. So they don't even discriminate. You just go on their website. It's called ETA. You just apply and, you have the visa. Like if all African countries can have that kind of system that Kenya has, it will really improve, tourism and things like that. But and this doesn't affect only the African delegates and alternates. So we have also India, Sri Lanka, Vietnam, Taiwan, Philippines, Singapore, I believe. So it will not only be the African delegates being in Kenya. We'll have some company, but the majority obviously will be the African delegates in Kenya.
Good information. Thanks, Mercy. Thanks, Memos. Thanks, Seydou, Mustafa. Thanks, everyone.
Mercy, I saw you unmuting earlier. Was there something else that you wanted to add in response to, what Mermos was bringing up?
No, I was just going to say that is such a great point, what Memo said, in terms of having structures on the ground. I think that is a very strong message that we should push forward, right, to the extent of even physical structures and, like infrastructure, so that, like, as Memos was saying, this letter that had to come from University of Buenos Aires. No, we should get to a point where we have that capacity on the ground, and it's not narrow. One single individual person, like he's a lawyer, he has a full-time job, and then he's just trying to push on the side. Like, we need physical capacity infrastructure globally, especially in the emerging economies, right, where things are not as straightforward as in the Western countries. So yeah, that's something, Memos, that we really need to push. It's a great message. Thank you.
Yeah, I completely agree. Completely agree. Well, it looks like we're right on time for today. So I think we'll wrap up the recorded portion. Thank you all so much for being with us. Thank you for all the hard work everyone is doing in Cardano, if it's in Cardano governance, if it's pushing proposals, if you're a community reviewer, or if you're new to Cardano altogether and you're here just figuring it out with us as we go. So I appreciate all of you taking your time to be with us at this week's Wada Forum. And we look very much forward to seeing you next week.